Hello everyone. As you have just heard, my name is Ewa Marchewka, and today, during this really awesome TestDive conference, I would like to tell you a few things about hallway testing, a great way to boost usability, user interface of a product that you want to test. Following the golden rule of public presenting, that goes like, tell the audience what you are going to say it, and then tell the audience what you have just said. Here's an agenda. Let me start with a definition, so to have us all on the same page what hallway testing exactly is. Then I would like to spend a few minutes on cognitive diversity and explain what is the connection between those two, hallway testing, cognitive diversity. Then on real-life examples of a hallway testing conducted on data integration platform, I would like to explain to you how exactly hallway testing works, followed by some practicalities. So who we should involve in the hallway testing, how we should involve them, what can be tested using hallway testing, when hallway testing can be applied, and also some red flags, meaning some things that you should never ever do when you are trying to do hallway testing on your product. And last but not least, why? Why do we even bother? Why do we even want to include hallway testing in the testing cycle of our product? So let's begin. Okay, definition. I was too far from my laptop. So as you've heard, or maybe not, I don't remember, I work for Nokia for a long time, 14 years, or almost 15. So I work for Nokia, so every time I start talking about hallway testing, the immediate question is, okay, so what do? You would like, test your base stations with your UEs in the corridor of your office, is it safe? And then I need to explain that hallway testing has nothing to do with over-the-air testing, nothing to do with the UEs, nothing to do with the mobiles. It has everything to do with, okay, I really need to go closer to my laptop. It has everything to do with the usability testing. So hallway testing, from let's say in a big shortcut, hallway testing is using a random person to test software product and interfaces. So basically you grab a random person in the corridor of your office, tell him or her, come with me. You sit him or her down in the front of your app, your program or whatever you want to test, and ask him or her to perform some basic tasks like, I don't know, if you are testing a mobile app to buy groceries, you just ask him, hey, try to buy groceries over my app. Hallway testing is also a member of a big happy family of usability testing methods. So that includes remote usability testing, when you ask the tester to perform testing tasks in an environment of his or her home via specific tools. A/B testing, when you maintain two different versions of your app or your web page at the same time to check which one works better. Experts review, when you ask very experienced testers, I'm sure there are some here, to check if the usability of your product is okay according to the standards. Automated experts review, when you ask, when you use the specific tools to check usability, user interface of your product against specific requirements, and many more. So why would I pick hallway testing to tell you about it? Let's find out. So what it really means, hallway testing, why do we want to use it, what it really means. Again, public speaking is about telling stories. So let me tell you a story now. But before I begin, I would like to ask you a question, and remember your answer for the next few minutes so that I can ask you again when I'm done with my story. So out of you all here in the audience, how many of you have ever took part in hallway testing? Please raise your hand now. Okay, a few. Cool, actually, okay, good to know. Usually I get like 1 or 2 hands up and basically nobody knows what it is. So, nice. So the story. The story goes like that. Some time ago, a few months ago, for some reason, my husband and I decided to go on a trip. We decided, also, I don't know why, to use a train. How do you go on a train? You should buy tickets, right? What's the best way to order tickets when you don't have much time? Online. So you go to a web page, you log in, and you try to buy a ticket. So this very difficult and complicated task was handed to my husband. So he tried to do it. He opened his laptop, he looked at the screen, he found a web page, he logged in, he did find the right connection, and he tried to order, and he failed miserably. Okay, so he went to me and said, okay, come here, you're a tester, maybe you'll help me somehow. And then I looked at him and said, wait, okay, but why are you trying to buy tickets for a trip that's already fully booked? There's no tickets for this one. Why are you even trying it? And the answer was, okay, but how do you know it's fully booked? Okay, how did I know? And he didn't. So for some reason, the people that have created this web page decided to go with a specific color coding to let the user know how many tickets are left for a particular train ride. So they went with this for plenty of tickets, order how many you want, you can wait a little bit, we still have a lot. That color coding was for some, so better hurry up if you want to order something. And this for none. Can you see a difference between those three icons or whatever? If you can see, raise your hand. Almost everyone, okay. So I can see the difference, you can see the difference. Why my husband didn't see a difference? Very good. Actually, that's true. He's colorblind. So for him, this whole stuff looked like this. He could not tell the difference. And then, of course, we wrote an email to this railway company, and we told them, hey, you might rethink your design because it sucks. And guess what? Nothing happened. So, if you want to check yourself, you can go to IntercityPL. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this web page, and check. The color coding is exactly the same. So now, coming back to my question at the beginning of this story, how many of you voluntarily or involuntarily or accidentally have ever taken part in a hallway testing? Raise your hand now. See? It's that simple. So now, why we need to do that? So I've shown you a specific example of a colorblind person. Colorblind people are like 4.5% of the population, so it's not much. So maybe if we take a random person and a colorblind person, then we'll find all the usability flaws of a product. Not really. So what's behind all that? Some science. Behind of all that, it's cognitive diversity, and don't worry, it has nothing to do with a gender, a race, age, or whatever. Cognitive diversity has everything to do with different, experiences in your life. Each and every one of you here in this room have been through some a little bit different happenings in your life. You did different things, you were brought up in different families, you might come from different countries. So you have specific, unique problem-solving skills and a specific and unique way of using the app. And this is why we need hallway testing. We need feedback from different people that are diverse. So I have told you about some let's say, theory and with a little bit of practice. And now let's go through a real use case of a hallway testing. So again, there was a time when a bunch of developers created a data integration platform. For those of you who do not know what data integration platform is, basically it is a piece of software that does something with the data. which means takes it from somewhere, does stuff with it, aggregates, merges, changes format, and gives an output to another app or a third party or whatever. So basically messes up with the data. So the developers created this data integration platform. They were very happy with it. They used it for some time, and they were very, very surprised why not all the company, why not everyone in the company is happy to use this data integration platform, why some people just don't do it. And also they were thinking, it might be interesting if you would like to go big with this app and maybe sell it to someone. So in order to find out, they decided to go with a round of hallway testing. So basically they took a developer that knew how to use data integration platform, but have never used this particular one. So basically he knew what to do with it, but he was not familiar with this particular software. And they sat him in the front of a PC and they told him, okay, read something from a database to an XML, given some XML schema definition. Pretty simple task, very, very simple task. It doesn't use like the insights of the tool. It's just, you know, to show if the tester can do it. So let's start. This is a little bit simplified. Where do I click? Yeah. So this is a little bit simplified view. In real use case, it took quite a while to go into this view. So basically, here we have a database reader, and here we have type XML output file. All we have to do is take this block, map in place, and put it here on a screen. Yeah. So basically, you know, very, very basic stuff. And then you connect those blocks, and the magic happens. So the tester was asked to do it, and he failed again. So he tried to double-click on the map in place to put it here. It did not work. He tried context menu, so maybe right-click would work to, you know, see something like add on a screen or whatever. Here. Again, it did not work, and he got stuck. He didn't know what to do. And the right way to use it was to, oops, ta-da, do a drag and drop. Okay, so what happened here? You know, the developers invented it, they were using it for a while, they were, you know, doing tons of stuff with those blocks, putting them, deleting them, moving them around and stuff. And the tester got stuck like the first minute he was trying to do something. So what happened? Well, different developers coming from a different pieces of a company or a different companies are used to different development tools, different IDEs, integrated development environments. So it happened that the developers who created this data integration platform were used to Microsoft Visual Studio, and the tester was used to Eclipse. And this is what happened. He got stuck because he was used to he was never using drag and drop when he was writing his own software. Very, very simple, very basic usability flaw. Here's another example. Again, very, very simple, pretty straightforward, very basic use case. Add a new field to a database structure, okay? So here we go again. Graphic representation of a table in a database. So what you're trying to do is to add a field. And this time, success, you're able to add a field into a database. Woohoo, right? But the tester was smart. He wanted to copy-paste, and he failed. So see, basic thing was working, but the next basic thing wasn't. So you could not copy-paste. Again, what happened here? Those creator, for some reason, and this is a little bit embarrassing, but this is the true, they have never invented that someone would like to use a copy-paste. They were used to, you know, creating a database, deleting a database, adding maybe one field. But they were never used to do like a copy-paste. And the tester was very used to a scenario when you need two phone numbers in a database, one for a home number and one for a cell phone number. So this was a very basic scenario for him. Again, very basic usability flaw that was uncovered by the 5 minutes test. And the creators of the app or the program or whatever, they could not notice it. Okay, so I'm showing you an example of web page, right, at the beginning. Then this data integration platform, so basically PC app. But can we go deeper? And by deeper, I mean, do we need a graphical user interface to benefit from hallway testing? Do we need it? The answer is no, we don't. It does not have to have a graphical user interface GUI to be tested via hallway testing. A good example here is API prototyping. So if you are prototyping your API, if you are doing it, you might as well ask the people who will be the consumers of it. Because for you, the API, the correct way of creating an API and the easiest way of creating the API, and like, okay, I'll do it like that. So what we have here, we have like a function to this, function to this next, do this in case, do this last, but maybe doing this last is better, It's easy for you to implement it like that. And of course, you can write tons of manuals for the users to use it like that. But if you benefit from a hallway testing and ask a developer who will be using your API to give you his feedback, then maybe the result will look a little bit differently. And maybe by that, your API would be used by more people. So true story is done. Now it's time for some practicalities. So if you were to implement hallway testing on your product, what do you do? So let's start with who. Who we should involve in a hallway testing? So the first very short answer is anyone. You can start in your office. You can ask your colleague, you can ask your husband, you can ask your neighbor, you can ask your son, whatever. But the basic rule here is select someone that fits your target audience. So if you are testing a mobile app, it's pretty simple. Everybody is using mobile apps. Unless you are targeting this mobile app to a specific group of people, like, for example, students. If you are targeting your mobile app to students, asking a 50-year-old to give you a feedback on it, well, it might not bring you the benefit you want. Of course, in most companies, working students are everywhere, so you might just ask him or her to help you here. So target audience, you need to know who you are targeting your product to, and then pick someone from this target group. Next golden rule, is small group. So you might think that because we are all so different, you need a huge group of hallway testers to uncover all the usability flaws of your product. That's not the case. Of course, you will not uncover all, but with a small group, few people, you will be able to uncover most, like the biggest, the major ones. There is even this magic number of 5. There was a study done by Mr. Jakob Nielsen. He did some magic with math and checked tons of usability studies performed, and he came out with a number. So according to him, just five users are able to find 85% of the usability problems, like the major ones. And if you use 15, you should probably be able to find all. With one caveat: if you are targeting your app or a product or a program to very distinct groups of people, like the mentioned students and at the same time professors, or people who are buying stuff and people who are selling stuff. If those two groups are very distinct, you might want to pick 5 people from the one group and 5 from another. So small groups, target audience. Of course, this magic number has been widely discussed and not everyone agrees with that, but I would still go with a small number. 5 sounds reasonable. So that was the who. Now what? What can we test? You should know already, I've been talking for a while, but to summarize it and to have us all on the same page. What we can test? Mobile app, that's like a pretty simple and pretty straightforward. PC app, data integration platform software, whatever. A web page, that's also, people also like to use hallway testing to do, just, you know, ask your friend, okay, do you like the color of my web page? Is it useful for you? Can you log in quickly? So web page is a perfect candidate for hallway testing. And API, application programming interface, is also one of the things that we can test using hallway testing. So who, what kind of bugs we can find? Of course, we can find awful color coding, or you can find out that your app doesn't support colorblind people. You can also find missing functionality. Copy-paste doesn't work, right? Major usability flaw. You might not have think that this is useful. Unintuitive graphical user interface. You don't know where to click for the next page. You don't know where to log in. Everything is all over the place. It's unintuitive, so the people will have hard time using it. You know where the buttons are, so for you, it's not visible. But for someone with a fresh eyes, it's like right there on the spot. Bad color coding, of course. The tester might just say, okay, your site looks ugly, change it. Tragic design. Basically, bad user experience. This is what you'll get. You'll get the feedback on what you have designed, and the tester will tell you what's wrong with it on a very, very basic level. When? Okay. We are almost all testers here. Are there any developers? If you are, raise your hand. Cool. But developers should know that too, right? Test as early as possible, you know, the left shift and all that stuff. I'm sure you've heard it at least once at your work, and this basically works. So when prototype is ready, why? Because fixing basic usability flaws at the beginning, when you are creating the product, is much, much, much cheaper than if you wait until the end. So basically, the cost reduction. If the design of your web page is awful, and you'll get the feedback on this design at the very beginning, then you'll just, you know, redraw it. And if you get it in the end, you'll need to redesign the whole stuff, and it will take time, money, and everything. So when the prototype was ready, when you have even, you know, something on a piece of paper, you can ask, hey, what do you think? How? It should show up one by one, but it's all at the same time. Okay, I'll just go through it. So how the process should look like. Plan in advance. I know that it sounds a little bit weird based on what I have said at the beginning, that you just grab a random person in the hallway. Okay, but then you need to know if actually any random person in the hallway is okay, or you need to look for a specific person, like old, young, teacher, student, someone who's buying, someone who's selling, right? So you need to know the target audience. So you need to plan it a little bit. You need to plan, you need to make sure that this person will have time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. So plan in advance. And make sure that you have all the tools you will need to use during the course of a hallway testing. So basically a pen and paper. Reserve time. That's pretty obvious. You'll probably get some feedback in 2 minutes, but it's better to sacrifice at least 10 or 15 to go through some basic scenarios, but maybe not 1, but maybe 2 or maybe 3. So reserve some time. Plan in advance, reserve time. Note down the results carefully. This is crucial here. This is the whole point of performing hallway testing. You'll get feedback. You need to record it. If you don't record it, the whole thing was useless. You need to note down where the tester was stuck. What did he do? Where did he go from one page? Where did he go from this page? Did he stumble? Did he wander? Was he like, this looks awful? You need to note it down, because this is what you will be using to improve the usability of a product. This feedback. You can note it down with a piece of paper and a pen. You can put it in a notepad, whatever. You can also use very sophisticated tools, like tools that are tracking when, the eyeballs movements, and you can check where the user was looking at, what was drawing his attention when he was looking on a specific page. But you don't need to do that. Then, the next step, analyze. Sit down with someone that was probably maybe not a part of a hallway testing. Sit down with someone and go through the results. Think, okay, so here, how can we improve? There was this moment when this tester was stuck and he could not move forward. What can we do to improve it? Should we move it here? Should we move it there? Should we do like a pop-up or whatever? So analyze the results that you have noted down and find out how can you improve the product. And then last but not least, repeat. It's good to have one session of a hallway testing, but it's always better to have 3, 4, 5, how many you want. Every repetition will find a new bugs. Of course, if you will fix the old ones, right? So do a hallway testing, do something with your product, do another iteration, improve, do another iteration. You can test it how many times you like, but repeat. Repetition is a key here too. Okay, that's weird. Just don't. What you should not do when you are performing hallway testing, like kind of red flags. So the first major no-no is don't invent super overcomplicated scenarios. Focus on the basic use cases, something that the users of your app, of your program will perform every day, very often. Those basic scenarios will help you to uncover the basic usability flaws. Don't think of something, first go there, then do this, then do that. Because regular users will probably not do it, and the tester might have an issue with comprehending what you want from him. Basic, very basic scenario. And the second thing is never ever guide the tester through the process. You give him a task and just wait. It's very, very hard, and I know that from experience. If you see the tester trying to do something and just have this on the tip of your tongue, okay, just click here and you go further. No, you should never do that, because you lose the biggest value from whole hallway testing, the feedback from a tester. You'll just guide him through and you'll get nothing. So don't help him unless he's like 100% stuck. So then maybe note it down and then say, okay, if you want to move to the next page, you just click here. But in any other cases, if he's trying something weird, if he doesn't know what to do, if he's going to the wrong direction, don't help him. Okay, so we've discussed who, how, when, where, whatever, and now it's time for explaining why. To sum up the whole presentation, to sum up all what I have told you. So hallway testing is not perfect. Why it's not perfect? Because usually you are not testing with the real end users. Sometimes you are, if you are testing mobile app, because probably the same people who are using mobile app during a hallway testing will use them later in a real life. But usually it's not exactly the same group. So not real end users. So in the end, it's always better to have a real end users somewhere in a testing cycle. But that's for other testing methods of the usability. It's not for hallway testing. So the first glitch here is not real end users. And the second is you are not talking to experts in the graphic design. You are not talking to experts in graphical user interface. So they might not tell you how to fix stuff. They will tell you, okay, this looks weird, I don't like it. But they will not tell you why it looks weird. And they will not tell you why they don't like it. They might say this coloring is a little bit off, but they will not tell you, okay, those two colors don't match, change it to different color. So they will help you to identify what is wrong, but they will not help you identifying how to fix that. So 2 flaws. But we still want to use it, right? At least I do. Hopefully you do too. Why do you want to use it? First of all, it's simple. You don't need basically anything, just a person in your app. You don't need any specific tools, pen and paper, right? That's it. It's simple. It does not require any complicated scenarios. You just ask a tester to do something in your app. So simple. Cheap, very cheap. Usually it costs you a beer. If you ask someone random on the corridor, okay, I'll buy you a beer if you go through these scenarios, or maybe a lunch if you're, if you are in a company when you are well paid, then maybe a lunch, not a beer. And if you are testing with your husband, then probably nothing. So it's cheap. You don't need a specific equipment. You don't need to buy expensive tools. You can, but you don't need to. And it's fast. You are getting the feedback almost the moment you are testing. You don't need to wait for some results, for some summary, for some stability or whatever. You just get the feedback right the moment you are testing. So it's very fast. You can start fixing right away. So simple, cheap, fast, easy to explain. This is why I decided it would be a good thing to tell you something about the hallway testing, and maybe you will try to use it when you are testing your product sometime. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ewa. And now it's a time for your questions to Ewa. So let's see. This is the first question with the highest votes. Exists some critical space in which hallway testing will be more dangerous than useful?
Yes, of course. This is the case when you are very far away from a real end user. Like if you are testing critical devices, like, I don't know, some tools for life-saving, like for performing CPR or something like that. You are not able to do hallway testing with that, right? So if you get any results, they're useless. Hallway testing is cool when you are trying to find usability flaws, not when you are trying to find like big issues with the working of the tool or product itself.
Okay, so now let's see the second question that we have here. Can pop-up surveys be considered as a hallway testing technique? Is it a proper way to achieve fair results?
No, this is my view. No, it's not. You should know that you are performing hallway testing. You should get a clear scenario. And pop-ups are usually frustrating, and people are not happy when they need to do something with the pop-ups. So no, I don't think pop-ups are a good strategy, and I don't think we should implement it. And I don't think, honestly, that they could bring any useful results.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Let's see the third question. How about security of hallway testing? How to assure that there won't be any information leak to, example, competing companies?
This is actually a great question. And whoever asked it, come here later after I'm done, and I'll give you some socks or something, because this requires a reward.
Piotr, where are you? Okay.
So yeah, this is an issue, because if you are testing some critical app that is supposed to have a wow effect, and you are testing it from someone that's not under non-disclosure agreement, yeah, that's a hard stuff. But usually, if you are using hallway testing within the office, then it should be safe. When you are using it on your husband, That's a little bit more tricky, but I think he wouldn't tell anyone, I hope. So, but being serious, only no. I don't think hallway testing is good for very sensitive stuff. It's good for app, it's good for a web page, it's good for some basic things, but not for something that needs to have an NDA on it.
Okay, we do have a book for the best question and the most challenging question.
Okay.
That we can say right now to who it goes, to the first question, second, or the third one.
I like the question about the security the best. So if you can come here and I'll give you a book, not a socks. I think books better.
Okay. Big applause for Piotr.
Thanks.
Okay, we do have some more time, so we can go with a few more questions. Let's see the fourth question. How to convince people to take part in hallway testing?
I mentioned it a little bit. A beer would be nice. So if you are asking a friend in an office, it's usually, okay, can you help me? And this should be enough. You are asking a random stranger at the street, then it gets a little bit more complicated. Usually you offer coffee or maybe some free sample of something or anything like that. So this is how I do it. And if this is my husband, then I'll just ask him and he needs to do it.
All right, fair enough. So let's see, one more question. Does monitoring of every test is enough, or should we ask tester after test is finished?
So the monitoring gives you like the real life stuff. So you see what the tester is doing. But also it's good to ask tester afterwards, okay, how did you like it? Or what was the big thing that was not working here? Or what is the thing that you would fix? So the first part, that's also a good question. The first part would be to record the session and then also ask for some feedback like directly after the session. If you have time, that's a good thing.
Okay, and now the last question.
Okay.
So let's see which one will pop up.
I'm fast here.
What is the difference between hallway testing and alpha beta testing?
So you mean like A/B testing? So hallway testing, okay. A/B testing is maintaining two different versions of a web page or two different versions of an app at the same time and checking which one is better. And hallway testing is getting a feedback on just one version. This is also called guerrilla testing. So you are basically getting something right away from a random person. You are not maintaining a specific version. You are not doing anything with the app. You are testing it just as is. Hopefully, I answered the question.
I think you completely did. So that's it for today. Thank you, Ewa, so much for your presentation and answering all our questions.
Thank you.